Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Leanna and today we're going to talk about what has been selling for me over the last, I'm going to say 5 or 6 weeks. I have 14 sales that were over $40. Most of those are $40 US too, so if you're Canadian, you know what that means. And then I have 4 other ones that I just want to talk about because I want to bring up the brands and sort of the stories behind them. So I have 3 different platforms. I have Poshmark Canada, Posh US, and eBay, because I do have some things that are selling on eBay. Yay me. We're going to start with Poshmark Canada, and we're going to start right now. All right. The first item on Posh Canada that sold was this Diane von Furstenberg dress. It was a wrap dress. It sold for $59. I love this brand. I have picked this brand up before. I've picked one up at the bins. It was silk. This dress wasn't anything special in the sense of material. It wasn't linen, it wasn't cashmere, it wasn't silk, but it still sold for $59. So this is a brand to keep your eye out for because it does sell pretty good for good money. The next one I want to talk about. First, I'm going to tell you the brand is Joseph Ribkoff, and this brand is a kind of brand regularly like retail. Unfortunately, thrift stores seem to know this and they do tend to price it up. But if you can get it like on a half price day or at the bins or something, and if you can get larger sizes, it will sell. So this Joseph Ribkoff dress sold for $45, which I thought was really, really good. I was really happy with that. The next one I want to talk about, I do believe I got it at an auction for $10. I think that's where it came from. Is this Ed Hardy handbag. This sold for $60 Canadian. This brand is really neat. I've discovered this brand since I started reselling, and I've sold shoes and purses before from this brand. And I saw this purse and I thought, yeah, that's really going to be good. Someone's going to love that. That's going to sell, like that. And it didn't. It got a lot of likes, and I relisted, I think, about 3 times in total. I was really hoping to get about $60 from it, so I was listing it in around the $75-$80 mark, so I had wiggle room. It just took a lot longer than I thought. So I think it's really interesting to note that you could absolutely love an item and think, yep, it's going to sell. And you know what? It can still get a lot of attention, and just the timing isn't right. So I'm really happy that it sold, and I'm happy that it sold for $60. The next one I want to talk about, it's this little necklace. The brand is Johnson Matthey. It was vintage, and it was silver, but it was like a gram of silver. It was a little gram of silver, like numbered in the whole bit. It was really kind of cool. This sold for $85, which is really nice. This came from the same basket. If you've been around the channel, you know that I didn't find it, Paul did. We had this jewelry sort of thing that we did. We bought a big lot of jewelry from somebody and from other things, and we put it away, and we were going to list it, and then we moved and it got lost and we couldn't find it. And finally Paul found it, thank goodness, because there's a lot of good stuff in there, and this was in with that box. So I'm really glad that it got found, and I'm really glad that I got it listed, and it sold for $85. Coming up, there's another piece from that box as well we're going to talk about. The next thing that sold is this briefcase, and I guess it sold at the right time of year, maybe, because it is back to school. It was Cole Haan. It was leather. It sold for $85. I picked this up at my local Goodwill for, I believe it was $6 or $7, which is not a bad rate of return at all. This was really awkward to ship, though, because I didn't have a box big enough, because it was just that little bit too wide, So I ended up wrapping it in, I think I wrapped it in tissue and in cardboard and in bubble wrap and put it into a poly mailer. And it seemed to work. She got it. She loved it. So that's fantastic. Pardon me. The next one I'm going to talk about is this Lane Bryant yellow rain jacket. I picked this up a while ago at a Goodwill store on the way to the cross-border shipper. Paid $5 or $6, maybe a little bit more, and it sold for $42. This jacket was actually in a haul, and I said I bought it because the color yellow, I thought somebody would love it for spring. Thinking, you know what, I'm thinking spring, let's get spring stuff up. And it sold for summer, so who knows, right? But I'm glad it sold, and the person that got it loved it, thought it was fantastic, so yay. Moving on to Poshmark US. So these are all in US funds. The first one I'm going to show you, again, came from that jewelry haul from the box that we lost. And the bracelet is Alexis Batar. I've sold a few of her items. Excuse me. And this one sold for $75. So I think I have one bracelet left of hers, which is not selling, but it's not, this one was hinged, you know, so you could open it. The other one is just solid, so that could be the difference. But that is a good brand, Alexis Batar, because they're lucite, so they look interesting. Anyway, the next item I want to talk about are these. They are Earth Origins. I've talked about this brand before. I either picked these up at the bins or I picked these up at the local Value Village. I don't think I would have paid more than $10 for them if I did pick them up at the Value Village. They did sell for $42, which is fantastic, especially since it's in US funds and I source in Canadian most of the time. The next item are these track pants by the brand Ovo, which is October's very own by Drake. I want to thank Wendy for that, because we were at the bins and I picked them up and she went, oh, that's that brand. That's Drake's brand, blah, blah, blah. So she taught me about this brand, and they sold for $40, and they were a bins pickup. So maybe I spent $2 on them, maybe. So I'm really happy about them selling. The next item that sold was just in a recent haul. It is the Guess belt, the really heavy one. I paid $3.49 for this belt at the out-of-town Goodwill, and it sold for $40. So I'm really happy about that. It did weigh. It was heavy. I ended up putting it in a box because I don't think it would have survived a poly mailer at all because it was that heavy. All right, moving on to eBay. So on eBay, there was a few things that sold for over $40, which I was happy about. The first one is this vintage Sugar Street Weavers. That's the brand. Jacket. It had this harbor scene on it. It was actually kind of a cool looking jacket. I picked this up, I believe, at the local Value Village for about $6, and it sold for $50 US, which is really cool. The next one, which I think I've talked about just recently, is this little tiny shoe. It's a decorative shoe. Picked it up at an auction for $5. It sold for $40 US. It went to England. The person was ecstatic. We got really good feedback on it, so I was really happy about that. Excuse me. The next one I want to talk about for eBay is 1 Teaspoon Jeans, which is a hit and miss kind of brand for me. I don't think it's not one of those ones that's like I always have to pick it up, but I picked these up, I believe, at the local Value Village, about $8 on a 30% off day, and they sold for $45 American. So I was really happy with that. I'm glad they sold. They weren't selling on Posh. They weren't getting any attention on Posh, so I don't know. So the last but not least item I want to talk about that sold on eBay, and it just sold yesterday, I was so ecstatic, is this brooch. It was the spider brooch that I picked up with another brooch at an auction. So in total, I paid $3.25 for this brooch, and it sold for $74.99. Yes, 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 yes. But the story with this, so I got that brooch. I was excited to get it listed. I listed it on Poshmark, Canada, and the US. US got a few likes, no interest on Canada. I listed it for $100. I was looking at it yesterday and I was like, okay, I'm sitting down. I'm going to clean up the drafts on eBay. I'm going to make sure all my sales from Poshmark are off of eBay, check out the drafts, get some of them listed, the whole bit. Noticed that the spider was there in the drafts. Went, oh, I really should be getting that listed. It's like, oh, I'm only listing it for $74.99. I think I'm going to lower the price on Poshmark, see what happens. So I actually lowered the price on Posh US to $75 just to see if anybody that had liked it would bite, right? I ended up listing it on eBay that morning. It sold within 2 hours. It sold for full price, and it sold with payment like that. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, what's my lesson here? Don't leave things in drafts on eBay. Get them listed. So I'm spending my time listing on eBay right now. So those are the items that sold for over $40 for me in the last little while. But there's 4 more that I want to talk about because I think they're just worth mentioning. So on eBay, since we were there, the Birkenstock Insoles that I showed you, I bought at the local Value Village for less than $4. I think it was $3.50. Sold for $20 American. Now, you're thinking it's only $20, but for me, it's a lesson to look outside of my comfort zone. I never thought that insoles would or could sell like that. So it's always good to sort of keep your eye out on something a little different. So that's my lesson for the Birkenstocks. I got a tickle today. The next one, this sold on Posh US, and it sold for $35. This is a lamp, and the bottom parts, little parts of it, were broken off. It sold for $35. I picked this up at the bins, and it is a Quebec woodworker by, so the name, Beauregard. So if I axe that up, I'm sorry, but Beauregard is a good name. Quebec wooden work can sell really well. So I was surprised it sold on Posh US to begin with. And I mean, it was a lamp that I got at the bins. And it was broken. So I was really, really pleased with that. The next 2 come from Posh Canada. This one is the Lam dress that sold. It sold for $35. So this, if you remember, I think I did a whole video about this person that said, can you cancel this because I found it cheaper, and didn't say please. That's fine. Whatever. Somebody else, we had a bit of a back and forth with countering in offers. We agreed on $35, and it did sell. It sold fairly quickly. And for $35, I'm really happy with that. So, see, sometimes if you wait for the right buyer, it does work. The last one I want to talk about. I'll put my notes away because I don't need them anymore. So this brand is a shirt brand. It's men's shirts called 7 Downy Street. I think they're a Canadian brand, but don't quote me on that. But they're sort of like a less expensive Robert Graham. They have some really funky patterns. And if you can find these for inexpensive, I'm going to say under $5, they can sell upwards to $30, $25, $30, depending on the pattern. So if you can get them, at the bins or for under $5, you can make some money because they do really sell well. And they're a well-made sort of garment. So, oh my gosh, my voice. Anyway, so that's what's been selling for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do want to point out a couple of tips if you are looking at what sold videos. Because, I love looking at what sold videos. I like looking at the brands and maybe the cost of goods if the seller lets you know or knows themselves. It helps you keep your eye open for those brands. If you are watching what sold videos, though, try to watch the most recent ones because, brands change. The retail or the resale value does change. So if you're watching something from 6 months ago, double check your comps before you actually grab that brand. That's it. That's all. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. I will be back next week. So, until next time. Bye, guys.